In another arena here, Wednesday, Israel rejected the deal with United Arab Emirates to ship large quantities of oil through a pipeline running from the southern city of Eilat to the Mediterranean coast. Now, just days after a legal dispute erupted between the pipeline's operator and Israel's Environmental Protection Minister, Tamar Zandberg. Now, the Europe-Asia Pipeline Company, which operates an existing oil pipeline along that route, will thus not be permitted for now to expand its volume of oil beyond what it already has permission for. Now, the pipeline firm has been in the crosshairs of environmental groups over a contract with the United Arab Emirates to ship, as we mentioned, greatly increased quantities of oil through that pipeline, then headed for Europe. We're joined in the studio now by Samuel Shea, the president of Gulf Technology Systems and chairman of the Israel UAE Business Forum here. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, David.
Looking at this story now, a deal had virtually already been established with the United Arab Emirates with Israel's Environmental Protection Ministry now saying that the risk assessment report was inadequate, as they said. So basically citing the risks to the environment now as pulling the rug out, at least for now, on what stood to be a lucrative deal. Is it really all boiled down to the environmental risks at this point?
I think yes. If we look on the history of the Katza line or the oil pipeline, since 2011, there have been more than 19 accidents and incidents on this line. It's very old line. It's 1960. It's 60 years old, even more 62. It's about time to rebuild this line. So eventually, I think the decision of the Minister for Environment was right. We cannot take risk on this issue, especially about the volume they're talking about to push through this line. It's too high of a risk. And eventually, I mean, the intention was good. I mean, to reboost the economy and using this, it was okay. But I think they overlooked about the condition of the pipeline and what needs to be done. And I think it's about time to rebuild it or build a new structure. Absolutely.
Now, I'm talking in terms of alternatives or new structures. You mentioned this deal would have seen perhaps dozens of oil tankers, even a week, coming through the Gulf of Eilat, drastically raising traffic there, risks to the reefs or what remains of them in that Gulf. What are alternate plans? Possibly overland pipelines, or what else is being considered in this realm of connecting the countries and the oil?
Regard to the oil vessels, you're right. I mean, if you're going to put such amount of oil, the Gulf of the Red Sea going to be packed with vessels, which will definitely going to change all the landscape over there, which is not going to be pleasant. I mean, instead of see a nice blue sea, you're going to see all those vessels, so it's not going to be something pleasant. And there are alternatives, absolutely. I think it's also a great opportunity now to engage with Saudi Arabia and maybe to build a pipeline from Saudi Arabia through Jordan to Israel, to Ashkelon or Haifa.
It's going back to British Mandate era in terms of the types of things that happened in the infrastructure that was...
Absolutely. I mean, first, it's going to be a lot of interest because in this case, you do maybe an oil pipeline and also a gas line. And in this case, you can join all the GCC countries, which eventually this, at the current time, this is their main income. Something like this can be done very quickly because the structure of the line is existing. It's really only to change the pipeline. You don't need to build a new structure of the line. So it's definitely it's a possibility of doing this, absolutely.
And now looking at the immediate, short term, I guess to say, what are look at the deal's breakdown, at least for now, what are the ramifications of that? Or I guess conversely, what are the costs at not doing this deal? Now, how lucrative did this stand to be?
Look, the cost eventually is going to be a lack of income. But as I said before, you cannot overlook the hazard of the environmental situation. There are other opportunities, as I even said before, by pushing the oil through Egypt, or maybe continue, moving vessels through the ocean and to the Mediterranean Sea. I don't think it's going to change the moment the situation about the decision of the minister. As I said, the condition of the pipeline is obsolete. As I say, it's a very old pipeline, and we cannot afford to take any risk on all the incidents that happened. I think if it was not any past incidents, maybe they will reconsider, but based on 10 years, 20 incidents, it will not go through.
Where does this fit now in the picture of the bigger growing relations between the Emirates and Israel? Is this damaged things, or is this an understood sort of from both sides that this just wasn't the right setup for this deal, or is there a risk that this could harm relations that are just growing?
No, it's not going to hurt the agreement. I mean, the Emiratis, they're very smart and intelligent people. They understand what's happening. They know the situation. Eventually they will understand, and I think they maybe will willing to cooperate with Israel and find solution, maybe to rebuild the line or to restructure it or renovate it or whatever need to be done. So it's not a question that, okay, if you don't do it, everything going to break down. It's not a situation.
Relations weren't dependent on this.
Yeah, the agreement is much stronger from the pipeline. There's maybe, I think the pipeline maybe even 1% from all this agreement, especially when there's a legit cause of the situation. So they're not going to say, okay, you're doing this because of new government or opposing against the past government. So far, it's a legit cause and a position from the new government and from the Minister of Environment, and eventually they will definitely will accept it. And I think we can work for a new solution together. It's a great opportunity, and hope we can take this advantage now and see how we can combine it together with the Saudis, the Jordanian, the Emiratis, and some other countries.
So many aspects of this new relationship, refreshing, not politicized, just certainly not on this issue, as you mentioned, legitimate environmental concerns involved, not politics. For now, Samuel Shea, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.